Hello, miladies of inestimable value. Never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. Napoleon Bonaparte. Now imagine a woman who lives by that quote, but with lipstick, silence, and a look that makes people underestimate her every single time. You see, Sigma females have mastered one of the most underrated psychological strategies in existence: strategic stupidity. They pretend not to know, not to notice, not to care, all while reading the entire room like a classified report. It's not that they're clueless, it's that they've learned how much power hides behind appearing so. Studies in social psychology even show that people tend to trust and overshare with those they believe are less intelligent, which, for a Sigma female, is the perfect setup. She doesn't correct anyone's assumptions. She lets them dig their own graves while she quietly writes the eulogy. And that's where the twist lies. She's not slow, she's calculating. Not naive, just patient. She's the woman who watches everyone underestimate her, smiles politely, and then rearranges the game board while no one's looking. So before you laugh at the quiet one in the corner, just remember, she's probably 5 steps ahead of you, and pretending not to be. Let's uncover the 12 reasons why Sigma females pretend to be dumb, and why that makes them far smarter than anyone suspects. Number 1. She uses her ignorance to navigate male-dominated spaces. Sigma females know that walking into a male-dominated space with visible intelligence can be like waving a red flag in front of fragile egos. So instead of fighting to prove they belong, they let people believe they don't pose a threat. That's the quiet brilliance of their strategy. When others mistake her calm for cluelessness, they unknowingly hand her the keys to their confidence, and that's where she begins to operate. She plays the long game. She doesn't argue to be heard, she observes to understand. While others are too busy trying to dominate the room, she's decoding the hierarchy, the power plays, and the blind spots. The men who think she's naive tend to over-explain things to her, and in doing so, they reveal how their systems work, who pulls the strings, and where the weaknesses lie. By pretending not to know, she learns everything she needs to take control later, quietly and efficiently. It's not manipulation, it's survival intelligence. In many environments, women are penalized for being assertive or too sharp. Sigma females figured out a loophole. They hide their sharpness until the moment it's most effective. They let others build the bridge first, and then they're the first to walk across it. It's an art form, weaponized humility. When everyone thinks she's harmless, doors open effortlessly, egos stay calm, and she moves through spaces most women are shut out of. What's ironic is that those same people who once thought she was slow often end up working for her, seeking her advice, or depending on her decisions, without ever realizing when the power shifted. She doesn't announce her wins, she builds them quietly in the background. Every, "Oh, I didn't know that," or "I'm not sure how this works," is a chess move disguised as politeness. By the time they realize she wasn't lost, she was leading. It's already too late. She's learned that she doesn't need to fight for a seat at the table when she can redesign the whole room. Playing dumb isn't a weakness for the Sigma female. It's her silent rebellion in a world that underestimates intelligence when it wears mascara. Number 2, she knows the smartest move is to look harmless. Sigma females understand something most people never figure out, that real power doesn't need to announce itself. The loud, flashy kind of intelligence may win attention, but it also invites resistance. So instead of broadcasting how sharp she is, the Sigma female hides it behind gentleness, calmness, and even the illusion of naivety. It's not deception, it's discipline. She knows that the smartest move in any game is to look like you're not even playing. People trust those they don't fear. They open up more to those they believe can't outthink them. That's the space where Sigma females thrive. When she appears harmless, people relax. They underestimate her, overshare, and lower their guard. That's when she quietly studies their motives, patterns, and blind spots. By the time they realize she's been 2 steps ahead all along, she's already made her move, gracefully, without needing to prove anything. Her strength is her subtlety. She doesn't need to dominate the room. She controls it through energy. While others waste energy proving their worth, she conserves hers for precision strikes. Every smile, every quiet nod, every "oh, I see" hides calculation. And because she never comes off as a threat, she moves in and out of situations freely, untouched by the ego wars that consume everyone else. This isn't about pretending to be weak. It's about understanding that visibility can be vulnerability. The loudest people attract both admiration and attack. The Sigma female avoids both. She prefers to be underestimated because it keeps her unpredictable. She lets others believe they're in control because she knows they're really just following her silent lead. Her harmlessness is her camouflage, her composure, her shield. And the beauty of it all is that she never loses her softness. She doesn't harden herself to survive. She sharpens her subtlety. People think they're dealing with someone agreeable, maybe even a bit passive. But what they're really dealing with is a strategist who knows exactly when to strike and when to stay silent. The wolf doesn't roar, it watches. The Sigma female doesn't need to prove her intelligence. She lets results speak in quiet volumes long after the noise around her fades. Number 3. She understands that playing dumb is a power move, not a weakness. When a Sigma female says, "I don't know," it's rarely because she doesn't. It's because she's testing the room. Every time she downplays her intelligence, she's observing what people do with that opening. Do they rush to explain? Do they take control? Do they reveal how little they actually understand? Her act isn't about lowering herself. It's about positioning herself. In a world obsessed with dominance, she uses her quietness as bait and her humility as a mirror. She lets people expose their true nature while she gathers the data she needs. Playing dumb, for her, isn't a weakness. It's a silent flex of control. When she pretends to be unsure, she's giving others enough rope to show their ego, insecurity, or competence. The ones who try to take advantage of her ignorance instantly mark themselves as predictable. And that predictability gives her an upper hand that brute intelligence never could. She doesn't need to outtalk anyone. She lets people reveal the depth of their own mind simply by how they react to hers. This tactic also buys her time to observe, time to plan, time to decide if the situation even deserves her full mind. She doesn't waste energy proving she's smart to the wrong audience. If someone mistakes her for being simple, she takes it as free cover. Because once you're labeled harmless, people stop guarding themselves. And that's when she truly starts playing the game. It's the opposite of submission. It's quiet rebellion. The Sigma female understands that power doesn't always look like dominance. Sometimes it looks like stillness. While others race to display their intellect, she uses restraint as strategy. Every "I'm not sure" or "really? I didn't know that" isn't innocence. It's intelligence disguised as curiosity. And the irony. Those who think they're outsmarting her often end up moving exactly how she needs them to. They act while she thinks. They talk while she listens. And by the time they realize who was actually in control, she's already written the ending. For the Sigma female, playing dumb isn't pretending. It's precision. It's how she wins without ever declaring war. Number 4. She knows true genius is measured by what you can hide. For a Sigma female, intelligence isn't a performance. It's a weapon with a safety switch. She doesn't flaunt what she knows because she understands that knowledge loses value the moment it becomes predictable. The smartest people in the room are often the ones you never notice, and that's exactly how she likes it. Her brilliance is quiet, layered, and deliberately concealed until it's needed. She measures her genius not by how much she can show, but by how much she can withhold. Most people show off their intelligence like it's currency, constantly spending it to buy validation, admiration, or control. The Sigma female learned long ago that real power doesn't need applause. She hides her depth because exposure invites exploitation. The moment people realize how sharp she truly is, they either compete, imitate, or drain her. So she keeps her mind wrapped in mystery, revealing just enough to function, never enough to be fully understood. This isn't insecurity, it's strategy. She's selective about when and where her intellect surfaces. When she finally speaks up or acts, it carries weight, because people don't expect it. Her restraint amplifies her impact. And that's the paradox. She gains more respect by not demanding it. When others are busy performing intelligence, she's quietly mastering timing, the difference between being impressive and being effective. True genius for her is discipline. It's knowing that being seen isn't the same as being significant. She doesn't crave recognition for being smart. She wants the advantage of knowing more than she reveals. That's why she listens more than she talks, observes more than she reacts, and plans more than she promises. The less people understand about her, the more control she has over how they move around her. In a culture that glorifies showing off, the Sigma female's restraint looks almost alien. But that's where her brilliance lies, in refusing to make her mind public property. Her invisibility is her power. She doesn't shine for attention. She shines when it's time. And by the time the world realizes how much she was hiding, she's already several moves ahead, quietly shaping outcomes in silence. Number 5. She doesn't need to be understood to be effective. The Sigma female doesn't chase understanding. She knows it's overrated. Most people exhaust themselves trying to be seen, heard, and validated. She doesn't. She's long accepted that most people will misread her, label her, or misunderstand her intentions. But that misunderstanding, that's part of her advantage. It keeps her unpredictable. And in a world that fears what it can't define, unpredictability is power. She knows that being understood often means being boxed in. Once people think they get you, they stop watching closely. They form expectations, assumptions, and patterns, and that's exactly what she avoids. The Sigma female stays just outside those lines, letting people stay slightly confused. Not because she wants to be mysterious for attention, but because she understands that clarity makes you easy to control. When no one can fully decode her, no one can anticipate her next move. Her calm detachment isn't coldness, it's emotional independence. She doesn't need others to validate her thoughts or choices because she trusts her own internal compass. While most people waste energy explaining themselves, she uses that same energy to execute. She knows that results speak louder than explanations, and silence always amplifies results. That's why she's so unsettling. She doesn't justify, she just acts. And the irony? People often try harder to understand her precisely because she doesn't try to be understood. Her silence pulls focus, her calm invites projection. Everyone forms their own version of who she is, while she quietly stays in control of the truth. They argue about her motives, debate her personality, analyze her behavior, and all that noise keeps the spotlight off what she's actually doing. For the Sigma female, confusion isn't chaos, it's camouflage. It allows her to move without resistance, to lead without needing permission, to influence without needing acknowledgement. She doesn't want everyone to get her. She wants to stay unreadable, untouchable, and unexplainable. That's how she wins, by being the question no one can answer, but everyone feels compelled to respect. Understanding may bring comfort to others, but mystery brings her control. And she'd rather be quietly effective than loudly understood, because in her world, the less they know, the more she can do. Number 6. She knows people listen better to those they pity. The Sigma female understands human psychology better than most. She knows that people don't listen to the strong. They listen to the ones they think are weaker. It's strange but true. When people believe they're smarter, they talk more, explain more, and reveal far more than they should. So, she plays the role that triggers this instinct. She lets others think she's a little lost, a little uncertain, maybe even a bit naive. But beneath that calm confusion lies razor-sharp awareness, quietly absorbing every word. When someone pities her, their ego relaxes. They no longer feel the need to compete or hide their intentions. They start explaining everything in detail, sometimes even teaching her things she already knows. That's where her brilliance kicks in. She doesn't interrupt. She listens. Not for the lesson, but for the clues. How they think, what drives them, what they fear. In trying to educate her, they unknowingly hand her a map of their mind. This is how she collects power in plain sight. By appearing harmless, she becomes the safe place for people's egos to unload. They open up, reveal secrets, gossip, or confess plans, because they assume she's not capable of using the information. But she is. She just doesn't use it immediately. The Sigma female stores it, categorizes it, and later uses it to navigate relationships, anticipate moves, or dismantle manipulation before it starts. Her restraint is what makes her dangerous. While others rush to prove they know more, she understands that the loudest voice in the room is usually the least informed. She'd rather let others have their moment of superiority while she learns in silence. That's how she always ends up one step ahead, because she's been studying them while they were busy underestimating her. People often walk away from her thinking, she's so sweet, but she doesn't really get it. What they don't realize is that she got it long before they opened their mouth. She just lets them believe the lie because it keeps them predictable. That's the beauty of her approach. By letting others pity her, she earns their honesty. And in a world where everyone's hiding something, that honesty is her ultimate advantage. Number 7. She's aware that emotional camouflage is survival. The Sigma female has learned early on that the world rarely rewards women for being overtly intelligent. In fact, showing too much awareness, too much insight, too much competence can invite criticism, envy, or even outright hostility. So she adapts. Her dumb act isn't a flaw or a lack of capability, it's a shield. It's emotional camouflage that allows her to move through life without unnecessary resistance, scrutiny, or confrontation. By softening her presence, she protects her mind and her freedom. She wraps her brilliance in approachable gestures, polite smiles, and gentle tones, creating the illusion of harmlessness. People around her rarely see the depth of her perception, the sharpness of her analysis, or the precision of her strategy. They might think she's just easygoing or unassuming, never realizing that every reaction, every pause, every nod is carefully calibrated. That's the power of her camouflage. It disarms hostility before it can even form. This act is not about diminishing herself. On the contrary, it's a strategic move that keeps her energy intact and her influence invisible until it's needed. In a society where female intelligence is often met with resistance, underestimation becomes her safest territory. She can observe, learn, and act while others are too busy judging or trying to outshine her. By hiding her brilliance, she prevents people from becoming defensive or competitive around her, which in turn allows her to operate freely and effectively. Her camouflage also works on a deeper psychological level. People tend to drop their guard around those they perceive as non-threatening. When she appears gentle or slightly naive, they over-explain, overreach, or misstep, revealing their intentions, weaknesses, and biases. She absorbs it all silently, storing insights for the right moment to use them. The Sigma female's soft exterior is never accidental. It's deliberate. It is a calculated balance of visibility and invisibility, warmth and restraint, kindness and sharpness. Emotional camouflage is her armor because it allows her to navigate a world that punishes awareness in women, yet still operate at the highest levels of intelligence and control. She proves that the smartest move isn't always to shine the brightest. Sometimes it's to be quietly untouchable, while the world underestimates exactly how much she knows. Number 8. She lets the loud fall into their own echo. The Sigma female doesn't feel the need to compete for attention or validation. While most people feel compelled to prove how smart they are, she sits quietly, observing. She knows that the louder someone tries to demonstrate intelligence, the more vulnerable they become to revealing their true limitations. Every over-explained argument, every exaggerated point, every rushed attempt to dominate a conversation becomes a window into their insecurities. She doesn't interrupt, she doesn't challenge, she simply lets it happen. Her silence is not passivity, it's precision. By staying quiet, she creates a mirror for others' egos. They talk, they perform, they overreach, and in doing so, they expose gaps in their reasoning, contradictions in their logic, and weaknesses in their character. The louder they are, the more obvious it becomes how little control they actually have over the room. And she watches it all unfold without judgment, because judgment isn't necessary. Reality does the work for her. This isn't about schadenfreude, it's about leverage. By letting others collapse under the weight of their own noise, she maintains her freedom and her energy. She doesn't waste it trying to outshine them or win their approval. Instead, she quietly positions herself where insight and influence matter most. She becomes the calm at the center of chaos, the observer who understands the rules everyone else thinks they're setting. Her restraint also gives her credibility without effort. People naturally gravitate to her when they realize that their own performance is failing to impress. She doesn't need to speak to dominate. Her quiet intelligence and patience speak volumes. Others' egos self-destruct while she retains clarity, control, and discretion. The Sigma female knows that in a room full of noise, it's not the loudest voice that rules. It's the one that listens, understands, and acts strategically. By letting the loud fall into their own echo, she gains a map of human behavior, a reservoir of insights, and a stage cleared of unnecessary opposition. Her silence is her weapon, her patience is her strategy, and in a world obsessed with performance, she proves that quiet intelligence always wins. Number 9. She knows intelligence has no currency in shallow rooms. The Sigma female quickly realizes that not every environment rewards intelligence. In shallow rooms, whether it's a conversation, a workplace, or a social setting, showing too much brilliance can do more harm than good. Most people aren't looking for insight. They're looking for affirmation, competition, or ego inflation. In those spaces, intelligence isn't respected. It's challenged, questioned, or even ridiculed. She has no interest in participating in that cycle. She doesn't mask her depth out of insecurity. She masks it out of strategy. She knows that revealing how much she understands or how quickly she can analyze a situation rarely changes minds. It only draws attention to fragile egos that need to feel superior. Why expend energy proving herself when the audience isn't capable of appreciating it? Instead, she keeps her intellect in reserve, choosing carefully where and when it matters. This selective reveal is her form of efficiency. While others waste time impressing, arguing, or defending themselves, she observes, learns, and adapts. She's fully aware that her real power lies in application, not demonstration. In shallow environments, intelligence becomes spectacle, and spectacle is fleeting. She doesn't chase applause or nods of approval. She waits for rooms where depth is meaningful, where insight carries influence, and where her brilliance can translate into real impact. By refusing to turn intellect into performance, she maintains control over her energy and her narrative. People underestimate her because they assume that silence or simplicity equals weakness. But in truth, she is fully aware of the dynamics around her, silently calculating moves and gauging character while others flail for attention. She understands that power isn't about being recognized in every room. It's about making a difference where it counts, and wasting nothing where it doesn't. For the Sigma female, intelligence is a tool, not a trophy. She reserves it for situations that reward precision, foresight, and real capability. Shallow rooms aren't worth her brilliance, and anyone who mistakes her quiet for a lack of depth will eventually find themselves outmaneuvered by the very mind they underestimated. In her world, discernment is as important as intellect. Knowing where to shine is the ultimate form of power. Number 10. She understands the strategic value of misjudgment. The Sigma female knows that being underestimated is one of the most powerful advantages a person can have. While most people feel the need to constantly display their intelligence for recognition or validation, she quietly understands that underestimation opens doors that arrogance closes. When others assume she's naive or unaware, they lower their defenses. They speak more freely, reveal hidden motives, and act with less caution, all without realizing they've handed her control on a silver platter. She doesn't seek to correct their assumptions. On the contrary, she encourages them subtly through her words, gestures, and demeanor. Every moment someone misjudges her is an opportunity. In that window, she observes behavior patterns, identifies weaknesses, and maps out strategies. Her mind works while everyone else's is busy enjoying the illusion she presents. By letting them believe she's less capable, she creates space to move without resistance and to anticipate actions before they happen. This isn't manipulation in a crude sense. It's strategic intelligence. She knows that people rarely act with the same caution around someone they consider harmless. Underestimation gives her the advantage of invisibility. She can gather information, test reactions, and plan outcomes while remaining unnoticed. It's like having an open field where others unknowingly clear the way for her. The freedom she gains from misjudgment is not just physical or situational, it's psychological. People's assumptions allow her to maintain composure, conserve energy, and operate with a level of autonomy most will never experience. They rush, overcomplicate, and exhaust themselves trying to impress or dominate, while she sits back, calculating with clarity. In the end, misjudgment becomes her silent weapon. Every moment someone doubts her intelligence or intentions is a gift, a chance to gain leverage without confrontation, to outthink without effort, and to act with precision while others stumble under their own assumptions. The Sigma female doesn't need recognition to assert power. She thrives in invisibility, using the world's misjudgment as her playground, and every underestimated step becomes a move closer to mastery. Number 11. She lets others speak so she can listen between the words. The Sigma female understands that silence is more revealing than speech. When she plays dumb, she creates space for others to over-explain, over-justify, and over-commit. People naturally feel the need to fill gaps when they think someone isn't following. They speak more, reveal more, and sometimes contradict themselves in the process. And that's exactly what she wants. Every word they add, every detail they emphasize, gives her insight into their true intentions and character. She doesn't interrupt or challenge, she lets them talk, observing patterns, inconsistencies, and hidden agendas. While they believe they're clarifying, instructing, or asserting dominance, they're unknowingly mapping themselves out for her. Their insecurities slip through in tone, phrasing, or unnecessary explanations. Their confidence often falters when they realize she isn't reacting the way they expected. In those pauses, shifts, and repetitions, she reads the truth they were trying to hide. Her ability to listen between the words is what separates a Sigma female from someone merely intelligent. She isn't just hearing, she's decoding. She picks up on what is said, what is avoided, and what is projected. In social or professional interactions, that kind of insight is far more powerful than rapid-fire responses or verbal dominance. While others are busy performing their intelligence, she quietly collects data, building a complete picture without ever revealing that she's paying attention. This is why her silence can be intimidating. People underestimate the depth of her awareness. They assume passivity or naivety, but in reality, she's analyzing every motive, testing every statement, and predicting every next move. The truth becomes visible in what they reveal to her, and her calm presence ensures they reveal even more than they intend. By letting others speak while she remains composed, she turns overconfidence into a tool. Their words, meant to assert power or showcase understanding, become a map of their weaknesses. She doesn't need confrontation to gain an advantage. She gains it by staying still, observing, and letting the world unwittingly reveal its secrets. In a world obsessed with noise and performance, her quiet attentiveness is her ultimate weapon. Number 12. She's not afraid to lose credit. She's after control. The Sigma female understands that recognition is often a trap. People who chase credit are visible, vulnerable, and easier to manipulate or control. She doesn't need applause or acknowledgement to validate her intelligence or power. For her, influence matters far more than recognition. She's willing to let others take the spotlight, nodding politely as they bask in attention, while she quietly steers the outcome from behind the scenes. Her lack of desire for credit doesn't mean she's passive. On the contrary, she's actively shaping situations, guiding decisions, and orchestrating results without anyone realizing it. While others fight to be seen, she operates in the shadows, where ego clashes, competition, and scrutiny can't reach her. That invisibility gives her a freedom few ever experience, because she isn't bound by the need to explain, justify, or prove herself publicly. Being unseen also gives her leverage. People often underestimate her when she doesn't assert authority or claim recognition. They mistake her quietness for simplicity, her patience for compliance, and her willingness to step back as weakness. But in reality, she's fully aware of every dynamic, every opportunity, and every move that matters. She lets others play the role of the public winner, while she collects the real victories behind the scenes. This approach allows her to control outcomes without drawing resistance. Recognition attracts scrutiny, and scrutiny invites interference. By staying out of the limelight, she avoids unnecessary obstacles and retains the upper hand. She doesn't need to dominate the conversation or the room to influence it. Her power lies in her ability to act strategically while remaining unnoticed. In the Sigma female's world, control outweighs credit. She values the ability to guide, decide, and impact more than being celebrated for it. Others may chase applause, but she understands that true influence is invisible. Letting people take credit is not a compromise. It's a deliberate choice that maximizes her advantage. By operating from the shadows, she ensures that she's always several steps ahead, orchestrating the narrative, steering the game, and maintaining authority where it counts most. Recognition is temporary, but control is permanent, and she knows exactly which one matters. The Sigma female is a paradox wrapped in subtlety, a master of strategy disguised in quiet elegance. From the very first moment she steps into a room, she understands the rules of the game that most people never even notice. She knows that brilliance, when flaunted, can provoke jealousy, fear, or resistance. She understands that true power often lies in invisibility, that influence is far more potent than recognition, and that silence can reveal far more than speech ever could. Every "I don't know," every soft smile, every understated gesture is a calculated choice, a chess move in a world where others are too busy performing to think strategically. She thrives on the freedom that misjudgment grants her, using others' assumptions as tools to observe, learn, and maneuver without interference. She doesn't need validation, applause, or understanding to be effective. Instead, she turns confusion into leverage, underestimation into advantage, and invisibility into control. She lets others speak, letting their words reveal hidden truths, while she quietly builds her map of human behavior. She knows that the loudest voices often betray the weakest understanding, and she uses their overconfidence to her advantage, letting them fall into their own echoes while she stays several steps ahead. Her intelligence is not a performance, but a weapon, wielded selectively. She knows when to reveal it and when to conceal it. She masks her depth not out of insecurity, but out of strategy, protecting her energy, her solitude, and her autonomy. She doesn't crave credit because she knows that control is far more lasting than recognition. Every action is deliberate, every silence meaningful, and every misjudgment she invites is another opportunity to gain insight and advantage. The Sigma female teaches us that power is not always about being seen, that wisdom does not require applause, and that mastery often comes quietly, invisibly, and impeccably. If you've been captivated by the depth, strategy, and raw intelligence of Sigma females, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss insights like these. Like this video if it opened your eyes to the hidden power of subtlety. Comment below with your thoughts or experiences with Sigma personalities, and share it with friends who need to understand the quiet force that operates just beyond the surface. This is the kind of knowledge that changes the way you see the world. And now, it's yours.